Welcome. We have a wonderful crowd today and an esteemed guest speaker. What could be better? I'm Aaron Davis, current club president, and welcome to Bloomington Rotary Club's weekly celebration of service for December 3rd, 2019. It's wonderful to see you all here. Now please, Marin McClelland, who is president of the new University of Indiana University Rotary Club, will come up and lead the pledge and reflection.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. So I have a question for all of you. What does Rotary mean to you? And I'd like you to think about that. The first time I heard about Rotary, I was 12 years old and I was working on my Girl Scout Silver Award project. I was collecting denim jeans, which would eventually be recycled into housing insulation, and I wanted to put on an event with the drive. So I went into the kitchen and I asked my mom where I could find money to do this project. And she said that I should go and ask my dad's Rotary Club. Now that makes total sense. But at the time, I had no idea what Rotary was. All I knew was that Thursday afternoons, my dad would leave, go to this thing called Rotary, and then go mountain biking. So I assumed Rotary was a mountain biking club. And it makes total sense. I mean, Rotary, rotation, wheels, like what 12-year-old wouldn't get there? 3 years later, now that makes a lot of sense, and I know that Rotary has nothing to do with bikes, and it definitely doesn't have anything to do with 20-year-olds. And these experiences have given me a lot of opportunity to explore the world that I've gained through Rotary. Because of Rotary, I've been able to participate in 3 Rotary Youth Exchanges. I spent a summer in Germany, I spent a year in Italy, and this past summer, I was in Spain studying the Catalan Revolution. And as I mentioned, these experiences have given me the opportunity to explore the world, which have eventually led me to attend school here in Indiana. They have taught me to be of service anywhere, and that being a leader isn't about having a loud voice. It's about having humility and admitting to your mistakes, but continuing on despite of them. Rotary has helped me gain the ability to laugh at myself. My favorite example of this is when I was in Italy. One of my close friends told me about 3 months in that I wasn't introducing myself saying, "Hi, my name is Marin, I'm 17 years old." I was saying, "Hi, my name is Marin, I have 17 butts." I really made an ass of myself. On a more serious note, Rotary has changed my life for the better, and after some reflection, I've been able to define what Rotary means to me. Rotary means good, hardworking individuals who put service above self and push every single day to make the impossible possible. They work to create opportunities that change the world for people like me. And for that, I'd like to say thank you. You weren't the Rotarians who started me on my journey, and nor will you be the last Rotarians I ever meet. But you are the Rotarians who have given me and the IU Rotaract Club the incredible opportunity to give service above self. So thank you for your support, and I am so excited to see where this club goes.
Thank you, Marin. I want to acknowledge today's greeter, Joe King, and Charlie Osborne, who is a past president of the club, our photographer, and Community Access Television Services, which posts their videos of our celebrations of service online. Our roundabout reporter this week, Jim Bright. And I want to express our club's appreciation for all of the IMU personnel, including the tech crew, who help to make our celebrations of service so pleasant and friendly. And now Sally Gaskell, please come up and introduce our guests.
Thank you, Aaron. We have a wonderful group of guests today, and as I read your name, will you please stand? We have a group of Rotaractors, including Maren McClellan, the president, Megan Gerhardt, our vice president, Toby Huter, a member, and Emma Stewart, also a member. Thank you so much. And I dare say they are all members of the student body at Indiana University. Angela Reber is a guest of Owen Johnson. Angela? There you are, U.S. Army officer. Dave Weaver, a retired professor, is a guest of Jim Bright. Connie Shakalis is a guest of our own Gus Shakalis. Connie's a journalist at the Herald Times, and you probably know her because she does our theater reviews. Wendell St. John is a guest of Tim Jessen. He's an educator. Welcome, Wendell. And finally, we have Roseanne Levy, a guest of Dave Meyer. She's a clown. If any of you would like to find out more about Rotary, come back and visit us anytime. We'd love to have you either temporarily or permanently. Thanks.
Thank you, Sally. And now with our Rotary family, no birthdays this week that I know of. I stand corrected if anyone. Then we have membership anniversaries, though. Kay Leach, 31 years. Keith Klein, 34 years. Scott Walters, 31 years. This is amazing, isn't it? Brian Price, 29. And topped off with Jim Harvey, 44 years. And I want to give a warm welcome to our most recent new members, Von Welch. Yeah. Heather Bozarth. Clint Baugh. And C.M. Morrison. There he is. Okay. And we're always delighted to have Charlotte here. Yes. Rotarians in the news. Unfortunately, I want to note the passing of Carolyn Lee Brinkman, beloved wife of longtime member Del Brinkman. A memorial service will be held at 3 p.m. Saturday at the Meadowwood in the terrace room. I'm also sad to report the death of Sherwin Sam Shermis, father of our own Michael Shermis. But I have some wonderful news. The arrival of a beautiful, amazing baby granddaughter, Harper, for Grandma Natalie Blaze. And now for Rotary Action updates. I'm going to truncate these a bit. Please look at this week's roundabout for details. I mean, we do have a peace building committee, and I want to thank everybody for that. We've launched it. We have initial members, including myself, Martha Foster, Joy Harder, Ashley Sullivan, Katie Beck, and Rotaractors Megan Gerhardt and Maren McClellan. We'll be studying positive peace and how we can help improve communications to support greater flourishing in our community and beyond. And with Charlotte Zidlow as one of our sources of inspiration. We'll be networking with Rotarian Action Group for Peace, the Institute for Economics and Peace, mediation, a little of that too, Beyond Borders, Rotaract, and other groups in our community. And I wanted to mention we have a timeline when you need, if you're going to come to the Bloomington Playwrights Project Bloomington Rotary Night on December 19th, you need to let Natalie know, or actually buy your tickets and let Jim Bright know. Now, for the annual holiday party, December 12th, at the Bloomington Country Club, today is the registration deadline. So please check with Natalie if you haven't registered yet. I want to note that December 20th is a deadline for applications for the 2020 to 21 Global Grant Scholarships. Contact Jim Bright for that. And new name badges will soon be ordered for our club. You know, it's going to be a big cosmetic change. They will be business card style and will be magnetic. That doesn't make you a magnetic personality, but it may, I don't know. If you need a clip rather than a magnet, because of whatever reasons, please let Natalie know soon, because we're ordering them soon. And finally, bell ringing is underway for Salvation Army. Thanks, Steve Moberly, for your leadership on this annual event. Happy dollars. Happy dollars for Teachers Warehouse. And Susie is here.
Okay, this is because I don't know who is responsible. On Saturday, I lost my brand new $2,300 hearing aid at the mall, okay? I started calling around trying to retrace my footsteps. Finally got hold of the mall business office on Monday. Someone, it may have been a Rotary bell ringer, found my hearing aid, wrapped it in a tissue, and made it all the way to the office to deliver my hearing aid.
Thank you, Julia. A holiday miracle, right?
I'm so happy to be back. I've just been in California for 2 weeks holding my new grandson, Avio, who is, I'm pretty sure, going to be a genius. He's not quite 2 months old. He's already rolled over, and you're not supposed to do that till 4 months. Wow.
Thank you, Sarah. Well, I've got $10 for Martha Foster and my anniversary that we just celebrated. So. Thank you. Lynn.
Well, not to say your grandson isn't a genius, but mine, who's 16 months old, spent Thanksgiving Day learning how to play a brilliant harmonica with his granddaughter, who just moved here from California. I have pictures to prove.
Okay, you can top that. Come on. No. Anyone else? And this includes the people who aren't longtime members. Anybody can. Okay. Well, thank you very much. The money goes to Teachers Warehouse, of course. And now, Owen Johnson is going to introduce today's very special program.
Thanks, Aaron. I think our speaker leaned out her window to take a picture, because you can almost see that from her window. She once talked about how she wanted to set up a video camera to take pictures outside her window and see the university pass by and everything that goes on. Our speaker received her BA from a football school, Auburn, and then came to Indiana, which until this year didn't amount to much. She received her JD degree from the Maurer School of Law, although it wasn't called that then, in 1983. She joined the faculty in 1985. And already in 1991, she became Associate Dean and found her calling. She was Associate Dean for 11 years, Dean for 9 years, is now the Val Nolan Professor of Law, and became Provost of Indiana University in 2001. In 2011. She describes a major aspect of her job is allowing herself to be interrupted because so many things are happening. She moved 12 times in childhood, which makes an interesting comparison to these long this long run as an administrator. She told me once because they were moving so often, they did not collect a library. They only took one book with them, and it was by Ernie Pyle, which of course made me very happy. Her job is not always easy. She has to represent the best interests of Indiana University, which sometimes upsets people. If you don't think that's true, you haven't been paying attention to the last 2 weeks. Even today's HT, and Michael Reschke, who's here, doesn't take responsibility for this, but even the HT had a nasty letter about her. It's my pleasure then to introduce the IU Provost for Bloomington, Lauren Robel.
Well, thank you, everybody. It's great to be here with so many friendly faces, and it's always wonderful to have an opportunity to talk about Indiana University. But before I start, I just want to say how proud I am of these 4 students. You know, Indiana University, they're all in the Hamilton Luger School. They're all among the students who study abroad. They're all learning languages. IU Bloomington is 6th in the country for students who study abroad. So we really do open doors for students all over the world. I learned over the Thanksgiving holiday that I am, according to Facebook, one of IU's super fans. I think whatever you might think about Facebook, they probably got that right. And Owen, I did, in fact, walk out my door and take that picture, which is on a cell phone, which just gives you some indication of how beautiful this wonderful, wonderful campus is. So what I'll do is I'll just talk a little bit about the campus. I think I'm supposed to stay here in back of the podium because of these, and I'll try to do that for you. But talk a little bit about the campus. It is our 200th birthday. So that really hit home for me in a week in which I came back from Korea. I'd been over there for the university, and in the next week, went to see the Book of Mormon, saw the museum reopen with a beautiful dance, original dance by our faculty member Liz Shea, and went to see Parsifal, an opera that is 5 hours long. You know, the Jacob School fed you in the middle of it, which I thought was wonderful. But that's the kind of year we're having, and we should have it. We should celebrate this wonderful university. So let me talk a little bit from 50,000 feet. What is this university? Where does it sit in kind of the ecosystem of higher education? There are now, actually, since I put this slide together, there are 62 US AAU members. The AAU is the highest research universities in the country. Highest research universities in the country. You can see there are 4,300 post-secondary education institutions in the country, of which over 2,000 grant 4-year degrees. Only 400 or so of those grant doctorates, and only 131 are very high research doctoral institutions. So when you get to the AAU members, you've really gotten to a pretty interesting part of the higher education ecosystem. This is the part of, these are America's leading research universities, and they're the universities that our country depends on for, cybersecurity research, for research about biomedicine, for research to preserve languages that would otherwise be lost. So you have reason from the start to be proud of having this university in your town. And we're part of the Big Ten, which I think is also something that we should be proud of. This university brings to the state a couple of $billion in external research funding and in philanthropic giving to support research in any given year. And if you think about the collective impact of the Big Ten universities, not on the football field, but actually in the laboratories and in the libraries and in the research power, the Big Ten brings more external research funding to our region and garners more external research funding than the Ivy League and the University of California system combined. So we're starting from a place that I think, again, we need to be aware of what a wonderful place this is, and I feel that way just about every single day. We are a large university, as you know. We've got a lot of students. I usually, when I talk to students, they have no idea what a provost does. And I would guess that you probably don't either. You know? And I will tell you, back when I was dean of the law school, and I was asked to do this job, I did what I always do in terms of career research. I went to the Oxford English Dictionary, and I looked up provost, just to see what it is. And there were 3 definitions. The first was the warden of a jail with summary execution power. And I said, nah, that's the dean of students. The second was the mayor of a small town. Well, when you look at these numbers and you think about the number of faculty members and staff members there are, you think about the fact that IU runs a bus system and feeds, tens of thousands of people every day on campus, that's getting a little bit closer. But the one that resonated with me actually was the arch-abbot of an abbey with pastoral responsibilities. And that feels a little more like what my job actually is. I have the job of caring for both the community, this community, these wonderful students, and the faculty and staff of this institution. And because of the impact our institution has on our region and on our town, which I'll talk about in just a few minutes, I feel a special responsibility to this area. I raised 3 children here. I've been here for 34 years. I know this state and I know this region, and I'm as proud of it as I am of my university. And I really do think that one of the university's primary jobs is to think about its interactions with the state. And so I'll talk about that in just a minute. It was a big class. They're all big. The trajectory of undergraduate classes has been going up in size, bit by bit, for 50 years. They're academically accomplished. The students every year, it's like Lake Wobegon, really. Every year it gets better and better. And every year it gets more diverse. And those are all things that are important to us as an academic community, because our job is first and foremost to assure that the brightest Hoosier kids in the state have an opportunity to come to a world-class university, get a good education, that we attract talent from all over the country to come to Indiana and learn about it and figure out what the opportunities are here. We have people come from all over the world to go to Indiana University, and that's important too. Important and a little threatened right now. Important, though, because it's a kind of public diplomacy that universities engage in that makes friends across the world with people who come to this university, learn about the values of an American institution of higher education and the United States more generally, and then go home. And so I'm very proud of the reach of this university and what it does to help make friends for not just the state but this country, all over the world. Our students are successful. We have the highest on-time graduation rate in the state at 68.7%. We have among the top two 6-year graduation rates in the state at 84.5%. And our students persist from their first year to their second year at very, very high rates. And that's true for all of our student populations. It's true for first-generation students. It's true for underrepresented students. It's true for all of our students. And this has gotten better year after year. There are people in this room who have helped make that happen. And it is, and it's important to keep your eye on this last number, on this retention from first to second year number, because as we push that number forward, we push forward every other number, right? Okay. So we got a lot of students and we have a ton of programs. And a lot of these are programs that have been created, degrees that have been created, certificates and majors that have been created in the last 5 years. Why would that be? Well, in part the reason for that is we're at the end of a strategic plan that focused on a number of wonderful things, but among them, making sure that our educational experience for our students stays cutting edge. Our students, all of the students at this table are in a school that didn't exist when we started that strategic plan. Owen is a wonderful professor of journalism, and this school that holds journalism didn't exist when I became provost. And that's true about a lot of our schools on campus. Why? Because you want to keep pushing constantly to be sure that students are both able to get a really great liberal arts education and that they are having pathways through liberal arts education into the professions and into their careers. And you can't do that if you never make a change. So one of the things I feel most excited about with this is something that Scott back there should be very proud of. We've worked to be creative in new degrees by putting things together in different ways. So Scott is the director of the cybersecurity degree. It's a multidisciplinary degree. It's certainly a hot field and a needed field in this country. We put that degree together, he did, at the master's level, out of existing courses at 3 different schools. If we can think in those kinds of creative ways about how we can put things together differently, then we can create new opportunities in a pretty nimble and agile way. And the same is happening at the undergraduate level. I probably need my glasses to see what that slide is. A BA in Environmental and Sustainable Studies, which combines some of the technical learning that you'd get in the O'Neill School of Public and Environmental Affairs with the liberal arts education that you get in the College of Arts and Sciences. So students who are interested in thinking long-term about the environment are able to do it with the resources across the campus. And that's been the goal educationally. Find the ways to make the barriers between disciplines and between schools lower and lower and lower. We've had some wonderful successes in the last couple of years. We had the honor of being able to name the new School of Global and International Studies after two of Indiana's finest statesmen, Lee Hamilton and Dick Lugar. It is to this day a source of pride for me, and I suspect most of the people in this room, that our state produced these two unbelievable statesmen. You know, people who were able to work across the aisle on a regular basis, and both of whom taught in the school, Hamilton Lugar School of Global and International Studies, for having a chance. I have a picture of them up on my wall. Having a chance to name this school while we still had Senator Lugar with us just meant the world, I know, to the school, and it meant the world to me. We've also, in the last year, seen a lot of philanthropy directed at these new programs. So, for instance, the new School of Architecture and Design, which was put together to offer a public school architecture degree in Indiana, so students had a little bit of a choice, and also to help revitalize a particular part of Columbus, Indiana, which has such an incredible patrimony, if you will, of architecture. Was named this year in honor of Sidney and Lois Eskenazi, who provided a gift of $20 million to that school. The Eskenazis also provided a gift of $25 million, plus a lot of art, to remodel the museum. And if you haven't been over to that remodeled museum, make a beeline over there. It is gorgeous. Every time I see that collection and realize what we have in this state and what we hold in trust for our state in that museum, you know, it gives me chills. So make your way on over there. The O'Neill School of Public and Environmental Affairs was renamed in honor of Paul Neal, the former Secretary of the Treasury, who gave a $30 million gift to the school for a school of public affairs, where most of its graduates go into public life. That was an extraordinary boost for this school. And of course, just in the last week or so, couple of weeks, Fred Luddy gave a $60 million gift to one of our other new schools, the School of Informatics, Computing, and I can't believe I get to say this in Bloomington, Indiana, engineering. You know, so I think that I can see with the enrollments in these new schools that we're headed in the right direction, and I think I can see in the support that we're getting for these new schools that we're headed in the right direction. And our academic reputation suggests the same. I want to spend just a few minutes here at the end talking about how Bloomington is serving the state. And I'll talk about three things, two of them briefly and one in a little more depth. So what are you seeing up here? Well, one thing you know, because you've been driving past it out on the bypass, we are able, because I think of the wisdom of both Indiana University Health and the president of this university, we were able to assure that the new hospital is being built on the campus of Bloomington. And that allows us to put a regional academic health center together that is going to be an amazing resource for our region. On the academic side, it allows us to move medicine. We offer an MD degree here. Nursing, social work, and speech and hearing, which is a phenomenal program, all into that front building, which is our new academic health building, so that they can teach their students how to work as professionals together to treat the whole patient. And that's their goal. They are at the forefront already, getting ready for this, of interprofessional education, so that we are training our students, let me go back, to do that well. It also allows us to be proximate to the hospital, so we're able to have our students do the kinds of work in the hospital that has been a little more difficult in the past. And it allows us to think about residency programs, which we are doing. So I'm very excited about that. What's down in the corner? Well, that will be the Innovation Gymnasium. You recognize it, if you recognize it at all, as the old gym over there in back of the cyber infrastructure building, kind of next door to the hospital. It's where volleyball was played, and what else was in there? Wrestling was in there, and they have a wonderful new facility now. One of the things I've been thinking about for years is we've got 43,000 students. We've got a collection of programs now, from engineering and design, across the media, across the board. Our students want to build things, and in particular, they want to create businesses. We have, bar none, one of the very top business schools in the country. We have, I think, a pretty darn good law school as well. We have, in other words, the resources to let students with ideas build products that they could in turn into businesses. And if we do this right, even a tiny percentage of our undergraduates, if they participate in this and stay in the state, could make a big difference in our economy, right? So this gym is going to be that place. It's going to be a place where we will have all kinds of equipment to allow students to build. I will be turning to all of you and all the people you know for ideas that could be fed into it for our students. We have the law school and the Kelly School involved in thinking about how, if you get to a product, how do you move it to the next level? And I'm pretty excited about this. I think every school on the campus can participate, and I think any student on our campus who is interested in this can participate. So this I'm hoping to have up by fall of next year. Excuse me, I have a really good group of faculty members from all over the campus working on it. Stay tuned. But finally, the Center for Rural Engagement. You've got a few things on your tables about the Center for Rural Engagement. And I was in Washington last week visiting with staff in our representatives and senators' offices and visiting with staff in the vice president's office to talk about this center, because I feel so proud of the work it is doing. So about 18 months ago, the Lilly Endowment gave us a grant of $10 million with the loosest set of instructions. You know, they noted that Indiana University is an important employer and center for this part of the state. They noted the same thing about Crane. Nobody ever believes we have the third largest naval base in the country here where there's no ocean. And they noted we've got this new terrain interstate, and they said, go. We are now, and I traveled all over southern Indiana, going to the small towns and rural areas of southern Indiana, basically asking three things. What do you love about where you live? What do you think about Indiana University? And what are your hopes and dreams for your communities? Well, the good news is people love where they live, and they really love us. You know, they don't necessarily know, however, how to penetrate this big institution to partner with us on the hopes and dreams they have for their communities. So, and I'll give you a great example of that. When I was listening to people, when I was traveling around, one community said to me, you know, one of our problems that we're trying to figure out is how do we take care of our community members when they get old. We don't have a skilled nursing facility here. People have to move far away. And I thought, well, we can't do anything, we can't start a skilled nursing facility, but we've got one of the best groups in the country on aging in place using technology, sitting over in the Luddy School of Informatics, Computing, and Engineering. People in that community who have that need would never have been able to make that connection. How would you know to look there? That's what the Center for Rural Engagement does. It connects the resources of this vast campus with the hopes and dreams and aspirations of communities. So we have over 250 faculty members who are now working in communities. We've had thousands and thousands of students working in classes that their faculty member has negotiated with people in communities to figure out, what do you need? You know, what can we do in the space of a class? Well, what can we do? We can help Lawrence County get a dark skies designation for the coming eclipse. We can provide 500 hours of in-home nursing care with our nursing students for homebound elderly people with diabetes. We can provide 70,000 hours of social work through our Bachelor's of Social Work program to our elementary schools. We can help little towns in southern Indiana have access to the kinds of arts programming that we all take for granted in Bloomington. So when I was traveling to Washington last week, Denny Spinner, who is the mayor of Huntingburg, was with me. Denny Spinner wanted to go to tell our representatives that he loved Indiana University, that his town of 7,000, because of the partnership through the Center for Rural Engagement that we have, now has a First Fridays event. And his little town of 7,000 had 1,500 people at that event when they did it last. Because of Denny Spinner, we realized that we needed to be able to train students who could work in rural areas in the arts. And so we set up a certificate in rural arts administration. And we now have students going out to all kinds of places in the southern part of the state. We recognize, as we build trust in communities, that there are deeper issues like substance abuse disorder. And we have faculty members working through the Grand Challenge on addiction to help communities adopt ways to lead their community members out of that dark place. Mayor Spinner also told a story that I think that probably our representatives thought was an odd story. I think going to the Hill with a Republican mayor who's raving about the arts in his community, and then he said, and we had another problem. Unemployment in my town is 1.9%. Everyone who can work does work. My population is 25% immigrants. They are my workforce. I was never in 3 years able to get them any kind of legal help because we don't live close to an immigration lawyer. The law school, I told this to the Center for Rural Engagement, they got the law school to send down faculty members and students to meet with my folks here in my town and talk them through how to plan for their future. Probably a message they don't hear a lot from small town mayors in rural Indiana. So I'm super proud of this initiative. There's a lot of information about it on these two pieces of paper on your tables. I think it's one of the most exciting things that this university has done in a good long while. It makes me proud to be in the communities from which come many, 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 many members of the staff and many, 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 many of our students. And so I just wanted to close by saying, I know you're as proud of this place as I am. I hope I've given you a few new pride points. Thank you so much.
I'd like to take a few questions.
Do people have questions for me? Oh, all over the place.
You've had nothing but student growth, or we've had nothing but student growth. How are you preparing for the inevitable decline and telling people it's going to happen?
Yep. There's a, so there is a study, there was a study by someone named John Grau on what he called the enrollment cliff. And what that basically is about is 18 years ago, many fewer babies were born. For a lot of reasons, that's true. And so there will be many fewer students going into higher education. That is not, as far as I can tell, and from the best analysis I've been able to do, that is not an issue for universities like ours. For a lot of reasons, students have sort of flown to quality at a good price. IU is quality at a really good price. The other thing I was doing in Washington the other day was, I was on a panel talking about our loan reduction programs. And since 2012, we've reduced student debt by $138.4 million through some scalable work. So most of my Big Ten colleagues and most major public universities like this one, this kind of campus, we're not really expecting to see a big decline or even really a decline. The one thing where we're seeing numbers go down is credit hours over time, and that's because we're graduating people quicker and quicker. So I'm aware of it. I think it's already caused issues for small liberal arts colleges. It will cause, I suspect, some dislocation for Indiana University and in the regionals in particular. But they have ways to approach that I think makes some sense. I'm just not that concerned about Bloomington. Yep.
I think that's all the time we have. Lauren, will you be able to stay a few minutes afterwards to answer other questions?
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. And in honor of today's presentation, we will include a small donation as part of our quarterly club contribution to a local charity, which this quarter is Wheeler. My thought for the week. This is a quote from Helen Keller that helps explain the goals of systems thinking for positive peace. Quote, "I do not want the peace that passes understanding. I want the understanding which brings peace." Please stand and do the following test. Of the things we think, say, or do, first, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships? Fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned? Fifth, is it fun?